egg, like boil the egg and eat. What is the real definition of chemistry? My YouTube channel program, A Chat is Divine Beyond the Class. Yeah, I see me Divine Gift Esther, and today I'm back again to talk about something very interesting in the field of science. And today we'll be taking our topic from chemistry. Yeah, chemistry. Today I'll be telling you about the concept of chemistry, what chemistry is all about, telling you about what matter is, and I'll be telling you about the scientific method of discovery, especially under chemistry. So to start with, what is chemistry? Like, lots of people say a lot of things about chemistry. They give numerous definitions about chemistry. They say chemistry is the study of chemicals. Chemistry has to do with mixing one or two chemicals together. But the question is, what is the real definition of chemistry? I would say chemistry deals with the composition, properties, uses of matters, and the changes in which matters undergoes. What do I mean by this? Chemistry has to do with mainly about matter. So the question is, what is matter? Like, you cannot understand what chemistry is all about if you don't even know what matter is. The question is, what is matter? So I'll say matter is anything that has mass and occupies space. Anything whatsoever that has a mass, that has a weight, and occupies space is regarded as matter. The food we eat, the air we breathe, ourselves, the plants, animals, everything around us that has a mass or a weight and occupies space is called a matter. So the last thing we'll be talking about today is the scientific method of discovery in chemistry. In all fields of science, biology, be it chemistry, be it physics, we are in all fields of science. They all have a scientific method of discovery. But today I'll be telling you about the scientific method of discovery in chemistry. The first scientific method of discovery in chemistry and all other science field is observation. The first thing is what? Observation, yes. As a science student that you are, you want to discover new things. The first thing you have to do is observe. How far can you observe? You saw that since certain things keep happening and you don't even have an answer to it. The process of you looking at the thing and thinking what must have caused this thing, that is what we call observation. Do you understand? The second is pattern. This observation leads to a pattern, a kind of pattern, and it later leads to a problem that you might want to solve. Yes, as I said earlier, the first is observation, the second is pattern. It now leads to a problem that you wish to solve, that you want to solve. Now, this problem, you have a problem already that you want to solve. Now, the process of you making assumptions for what must have caused this problem, why am I having this particular problem? That is what is called hypothesis. The process of you making meaningful explanations to your problem is what we call hypothesis. Now, let's take a topic for instance. As a science student, you want to discover how does water come out from coconut, or let's say as a science student you want to discover how does maggot comes out from rotten food. As a science student, you had this or you saw this and you want to discover why does this thing keep happening. The process of you thinking and looking at that particular problem is what we call observation. That observation, that thing that I've observed has led to a pattern that leads to a problem that you want to solve. Do we understand? Now, for you to now start making assumptions, reasonable explanations to your problem, that is what we call hypothesis. If you start saying, is it because the person overcooked it? Is it because there is too much water in the food? That is what causes maggot. That is you making assumptions. That is what is known as hypothesis. I know you understand this. Now, the next one, the second to the last, is experiments. Now, you made so much assumptions and you want to see which of my assumption is really true, which of my hypothesis can support my problem. That is what leads us to experiments. When you want to see which one is actually true, which one can give a reasonable explanation to what is happening, is what leads to experiments. When you can carry out your problem on experiments, you want to see why does maggots comes out from food. Then you now think, is it because I overcooked it? Then you now try to overcook that same food to see if it's going to produce maggots. That is you experimenting that kind of a problem. So if that problem comes out that, okay, after you experimented it and it gives you maggots again, then that problem, then you have not said that, okay, the real cause of maggots coming out from food is because maybe you overcooked this or something. Then that hypothesis has now led to a theory. If that theory has now been tested by so many scientists and it has been proven to be true, that is what is known as scientific law. So I believe you understand. So we've been able to learn that the first scientific method of discovery is observation, then followed by pattern, followed by a problem that you want to solve, which leads to me making assumptions, which is hypothesis. Then if the assumption can be tested out, that is what leads to experiments. Then leads to theory. When it has now been tested to be true, then it leads to a scientific law. I think I've been able to make you remember some things we did in our chemistry classes. I've taught you about what chemistry is all about. I've taught you about what matter is. And lastly, we talked about the scientific method of discovery. So if you find this video to be helpful, what am I even saying? I know you're going to find this video to be very, very helpful. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Always share to your friends and family so that they can also learn as we learn every day. Thank you guys. Bye for now.